It's a topic not easy for families to bridge, and we hope never to have the conversation, yet every day, families and friends spend precious final moments with loved ones, and they do so under the care and the support of organizations such as the Huron Hospice. Well, we visit with Huron Hospice in this special series to better understand palliative care, the important conversations that families have in advance, and how we as a community can ensure that this support is available always and in the future. Today, I am thrilled to speak with Jay McFarlan. He is the chair of the board of Huron Hospice. Welcome, Jay.
Great to be here, Roz. Thank you.
Jay, this is such an incredible organization, and I know for people who have not yet had the circumstances, they may not understand what palliative care is all about. Can you help us understand that better?
Yeah. So palliative care is really a special flavor of healthcare. It's all about improving people's quality of life when no cure is possible. So we're really talking about the last weeks and months of life.
So this is really about celebrating a life well lived.
Yes. So in hospice care, the people that are providing the care, the doctors, the nurses, the volunteers, it's all about neither hastening death or prolonging life. It's really celebrating the last days of life.
And I get the feeling that there's a lot of sort of heroic moments in all of this.
The heroic moments in hospice palliative care, it's all about holding hands, about comforting the individual and the family around them through what's a really difficult time, losing a loved one.
Jay, when I think of the final days that we have, some might find themselves in a hospital, but is that always the case?
When you ask most people, they say they'd prefer to be at home, surrounded by their loved ones in their final days. But anyone who's been through that process of trying to support someone at home, they know it's a difficult thing to do, emotionally and sometimes physically for an elderly caregiver who's caring for a spouse at home. So when that's not possible, the hospice residents, the Bender House of Huron Hospice, is there to support families, to provide that home-like environment that just really feels like home. Nestled in the hills, this picturesque house in between Clinton and Goderich, it's a familiar landscape for a lot of people and really feels like home.
Jay, I'm so glad that you brought up the house on the hill and its beauty. I have to tell you, I'm not familiar with how it came to be.
So yeah, many people are very familiar with the house on the hill as Huron Hospice, recently renamed Bender House, thanks to a very philanthropic donation. So the truth is, Huron Hospice has existed for many years before that, founded in '96 with our founding board chair, Yvonne Kitchen, and the founding ED, Shirley Dinsmore. It really started as a small community program run out of the Seaforth Hospital, which then grew to encompass larger and larger geography until in 2017, we purchased this house from a couple who was downsizing and transformed it into a hospice that it is today.
Well, let's go from a beautiful place, a beautiful home, to what I would say is beautiful souls and people who give to it in their time and treasures. It takes a lot to run an organization like this.
Yeah, so it does take a lot. And actually, our legal name as an organization is Huron Hospice Volunteer Service.
Really?
We have over 130 volunteers right now, and they help out in all aspects of maintaining the house and the gardens and providing in-home support in our community and grief and bereavement groups. We provide loss and grief support for over 80 children this last year, and our more than 20 nurses at the hospice that provide specialized hospice palliative care in that place that feels like home. And actually in that house, there's over 60 people that have their end of life days every year at that house. So it's in terms of the connections we make in this region, in the county. I mean, it's having been open for 4 years now. There's pretty soon going to be a time where we are connected with every person in this county, whether it be a family, a friend, a neighbor, a coworker. I think everyone in Huron County will at some point have a personal connection with this place.
Jay, I've been at the hospice visiting and learning more from you, and when I'm there, I am absolutely impressed by the number of volunteers in so many capacities. Tell me about them.
Yeah. So we do have over 130 volunteers at Huron Hospice who help in all aspects of the organization, whether it be bedside volunteering or in the community providing support or even doing some garden work around the house. They're there to support the families with some dignity and compassion in a place that really feels like home.
It takes a special person, I would think, to volunteer in this way.
Yeah. All of our volunteers truly have that passion, that compassion for wanting to care for others. And many of them have had their own personal experience at Huron Hospice who then feel the need to give back to the organization and the community, which supported them so well.
The other thing I don't know that people appreciate is the multidisciplinary team, staff that is there serving families.
Yeah. So all of our volunteers go through a special volunteer training program. All of our nurses have specialized training in hospice palliative care. We do grief and support group work with all the children in high schools and the local schools around here, providing group support for kids. There's a lot of specialized services that are offered through the hospice, and it's not just about the beds.
Jay, you are the board chair of this wonderful organization, and as a chair, part of your role is keeping the mission and the vision alive. How would you describe that?
Yeah. Well, quite simply, our mission is to provide quality hospice palliative care across our rural communities. And we recognize that we're a very unique geography that we live in. Huron County is huge. And of course, the borders, we do reach beyond Huron County too. But every rural community is different. You know, from Amberley to Exeter and everything in between. We'd like to provide that support across our rural communities. Of course, our vision is to become a center of excellence in rural hospice palliative care. We want to, and what that means is we want to become the source where people go to get that information about what's the best way to provide hospice palliative care in a rural setting, recognizing that rural is a very different way of living.
Yeah, and I think you're well on your way to achieving that vision, Jay, so thank you for helping me understand this a lot better.